In the dimly lit room of an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, Samuel Hayes paced nervously, the weight of his decision heavy on his shoulders. The warehouse, once a bustling factory, now stood silent and decrepit, its walls scarred by time and neglect. Samuel, a man driven by desperation and a sense of purpose that eluded him, had meticulously planned this kidnapping. His target was a young girl named Emily, the daughter of a wealthy family whose fortune had long been the object of his covetous desires. Samuel had managed to seize Emily from her lavish home with surprising ease. She had been alone, wandering in the garden while her parents were preoccupied with a business meeting. He had bundled her into his car, her confusion and fear only heightening his sense of urgency. Now, in the cold, echoing warehouse, he awaited the outcome of his plan, his heart pounding with a mix of anticipation and dread. Emily, a small, delicate figure with wide, innocent eyes, sat in the center of the room on a tattered blanket. Her gaze was serene, unnervingly calm. Samuel had expected to encounter a frightened, crying child, but Emily was different. She sat quietly, her posture relaxed, as if she were merely waiting for something. Her eyes, however, held a depth that made Samuel shiver. There was something in them, something ancient and inscrutable, that unsettled him. Samuel approached her cautiously. "Emily," he said, trying to sound reassuring, though his voice trembled. "I need you to tell me where your parents keep their money. It's important." Emily looked up at him, her gaze unwavering. "I can't tell you that," she said softly, her voice a calm whisper that seemed to echo unnaturally in the vast space. "But I can show you something." Samuel frowned, his nerves frayed. "Show me what?" Emily's eyes seemed to darken, and the temperature in the room dropped perceptibly. Without a word, she stood and walked towards a corner of the warehouse, where shadows seemed to coalesce into a shape. Samuel followed, a mix of curiosity and apprehension driving him forward. As he approached, he saw that the shadows in the corner were not mere darkness but a swirling, shifting mass that seemed almost liquid. Emily reached out her small hand, and the shadows parted to reveal a strange, ancient-looking book bound in dark leather, its cover embossed with symbols that Samuel could not recognize. Emily's fingers hovered over the book as she spoke. "This book holds the answers you seek." Samuel reached out to take the book, but as his fingers brushed against its surface, a jolt of cold energy surged through him. He staggered back, feeling an intense pressure building in his chest. The warehouse seemed to spin, the walls distorting and shifting as though they were alive. He tried to focus on Emily, but her form seemed to waver and ripple, becoming an indistinct blur. The air around Samuel grew thick and heavy, and he felt as though he were being pulled into the very fabric of the warehouse. The symbols on the book began to glow with an otherworldly light, casting eerie shadows that danced and twisted on the walls. Emily's eyes, now pools of inky darkness, seemed to see through him, revealing a terrifying truth. "I don't understand," Samuel shouted, his voice cracking with fear. "What is this?" Emily's voice was now a chorus of whispers, reverberating from all directions. "This place is not what it seems. You have trespassed into realms beyond your comprehension." Samuel felt a sudden, intense pain as if his very soul were being pulled apart. The shadows coalesced into grotesque, shifting shapes, and the book's glowing symbols seemed to writhe with a life of their own. The warehouse was no longer just a building, it was a conduit to something ancient and malevolent. In his final moments, Samuel glimpsed the true nature of Emily. She was not merely a child but a vessel for an ancient power, a being of unfathomable darkness and knowledge. The book was a portal, and Samuel had unwittingly opened it. As he was consumed by the darkness, the shadows enveloped him, tearing at his reality until he was lost to the void. The warehouse returned to its former state of silence, the book lying forgotten in the corner. Emily, her task complete, sat quietly once more, her serene expression unchanged. She was a child no longer, but an entity beyond human understanding, her presence a reminder of the cosmic forces that lurked just beyond the edges of reality. The abandoned warehouse, now shrouded in silence and darkness, awaited its next visitor, its secrets hidden from the world, waiting for the next unsuspecting soul to stumble upon them.